The first thing I heard after coming back to life was my father's belt cutting through the air. The buckle struck the floor beside my mother's shoulder. She curled tighter against the kitchen cabinets, both arms over her head. "You ask for money like it grows behind the barn," Raymond Hayes shouted. His face was swollen from whiskey and rage. "A workbook. New shoes. School fees. For what?" He pointed at me. "She's a girl. She'll marry and belong to somebody else. Why should I spend good money making another man's wife educated?" My mother said nothing. She had learned that defending herself gave him more words to punish. In my first life, I stood near the table and cried silently. I had once tried to stop him. He slapped me so hard that my ear rang for 2 days. After that, I learned to make myself small when he drank. That silence helped kill her. This time, I moved before fear could freeze me. I threw myself over her. "Stop hitting Mom." Raymond stared down at me. For half a second, surprise loosened his face. Then his boot drove into my stomach. Pain burst through me so fast that I couldn't breathe. I hit the floor and folded around myself. "You little brat." He lifted his foot again. The back door opened. My grandmother entered carrying a basket of stained work clothes. "Enough." Raymond stopped. Not because he respected her, because everyone in that house had a rank. And his mother was the only person above him. Grandma June looked at me without concern. "If you damage the girl, somebody has to pay a doctor." She talks back. "She's 11. Children talk. Don't waste money making it worse." Then she looked at my mother. "You know what he is like when he drinks. Why provoke him?" She set the laundry beside the sink. "Wash these before tomorrow." My mother's lower lip had split. Blood marked her chin. Grandma June patted my head as though she had protected me. "Be a good girl, Nora. A father has authority in his own house." I kept my eyes on the floor. When she left, my father spat near my mother's feet and walked out. The truck started in the yard. Only then did my mother move. Her hands were warm against my stomach. "Can you breathe?" I nodded even though every breath hurt. Her eyes changed. Not into anger. Into decision. "Go find Eli." My younger brother was 8. In my first life, that was the beginning of our escape. My mother packed 2 bags while our father went to drink at a wedding in the next settlement. She gave Eli candy, told him we were going on an adventure, and led us to the highway stop in a neighbor's wagon. We bought tickets to Gray Haven, the largest city in the region. She had hidden enough money for the bus and 2 nights in a cheap room. The bus doors had nearly closed when Eli began screaming. "This isn't my mom." Everyone turned. "She's stealing me." My mother went white. Eli pointed at her and cried harder. "She said she's taking us away from Dad. Help me." A passenger called transit police. The officers did not arrest my mother for kidnapping. She was his legal parent. But they separated us, asked questions, and contacted Raymond after Eli gave them our home number. My mother had no identification, no lease, no job offer, and no adult willing to confirm where she planned to stay. She had bruises. But when the officer asked whether she wanted to file a domestic violence report, she looked at Eli sobbing for his father and lost her nerve. Raymond arrived charming and sober. He said his wife was overwhelmed. He thanked the officers. He put us in the truck. At home, Grandma June gave Eli a bowl of beef stew thick with potatoes and gravy. He ate until grease covered his mouth. My mother screamed in the bedroom until the house went quiet. Raymond buried her behind the ridge before sunrise. He told the settlement she had run away with another man. No one asked too many questions. Years later, I earned admission to the best county high school, but Raymond sent me to a garment warehouse instead. At 18, he arranged my marriage to a diner owner 20 years older than me. The man paid Raymond enough money for a down payment on Eli's first apartment. I died giving birth before I turned 20. Eli stood at the end of the hospital hall and said, "A woman who can't even survive childbirth isn't useful to anybody." Then I opened my eyes in this kitchen. Alive. My mother was still touching my bruised stomach. "Bring Eli home," she repeated. Quickly. I looked at her face. She planned to leave. I should have been relieved. Instead, Terror climbed my throat. Are you taking us to Grey Haven? Her hands stopped. How did you know? I heard you talking about Aunt Lydia. That was a lie. Aunt Lydia was Raymond's youngest sister. She had run away with a traveling salesman years earlier and built a life in Grey Haven. My mother once said Lydia knew places where a woman could find work. She looked toward the window. I can't keep you here. Then don't take Eli. The words came out harder than I intended. Her expression softened with disappointment. You're still angry because he tore up your homework. The night before, Eli had ripped every page from my exercise book and thrown the pieces into the chicken yard. Raymond laughed. Grandma June called him spirited. My mother promised to find me more paper. It isn't about the homework. He is your brother. He will stop us. My mother frowned. What do you mean? He'll say you kidnapped him. That is ridiculous. He'll scream at the bus. Why would he? Because Dad and Grandma give him everything. She shook her head. Eli is spoiled. He is not evil. I lifted my shirt. A purple bruise spread across my stomach from Raymond's boot. He never kicks Eli. Her gaze dropped. Your father favors him. That is why I need to take him too. If I leave him here, they will ruin him. He already wants you punished for leaving. Nora. He said women who run should have their legs broken. My mother looked at me sharply. Where did you hear that? Grandma's house. I took her hand. Come tonight. I'll show you. She wanted to leave immediately. I stopped her by collapsing onto the bed and claiming the pain in my stomach had become worse. It wasn't entirely false. The village nurse came, pressed my abdomen, and said I had deep bruising but no obvious internal injury. She gave my mother instructions and told Raymond I needed monitoring. Raymond complained about the cost of the visit. By nightfall, the bus was gone. My mother sat beside me in silence. After Raymond passed out, I led her across the fields to my grandparents' house. Light showed between the curtains. We crouched beneath the kitchen window. A bowl of beef stew sat in front of Eli. Grandma June fanned the coal stove while he tore bread into the gravy. Slow down, she said. It's all yours. Grandpa Walter drew on his pipe. He is the only boy carrying our name. Why do we always have to hide the good food? You know, Marion. Grandma June answered. She gets foolish over Nora. Raymond is hard to live with. If Marion thinks we mistreat the girl, she might run like Lydia did. Eli wiped his mouth with his sleeve. You should break women's legs so they can't run. My grandparents laughed. That's our boy, Grandpa Walter said. You have backbone. My mother's fingers tightened around mine. She heard everything. The hidden meals. The way they used my welfare to keep her in place. The pride they took in Eli's cruelty. On the walk home, she said nothing. Eli returned later with his stomach rounded beneath his shirt. Where were you? My mother asked. None of your business. He shoved past her and climbed onto the bed without removing his muddy shoes. When Nora was your age, she helped me wash clothes. My mother said. That's because she's a girl. He opened a comic book. Girls are supposed to work. My mother stood there for a long time. I waited for her hope to break. It didn't. The next morning, she packed again. You and Eli are both my children, she said. He is still young. Your grandparents filled his head with those ideas. In the city, he'll have better teachers. If he goes, I don't. She stared. You don't mean that. I do. You want me to leave your brother behind with Raymond? He is safe here. He is not safe from becoming like them. That is not more important than whether you stay alive. She flinched. I knew I was asking a mother to choose one child. She saw it as cruelty. I saw the grave behind the ridge. If you bring him, I will tell Dad. Her face changed. The slap was not hard. It still stopped the room. She had never hit me before. You selfish child. She immediately looked ashamed. Then fear and anger returned. You want the city for yourself. You want me to abandon your brother so you can have a better life. I want you alive. You don't understand. She pulled me into her arms. You are both pieces of me. I cannot leave either one. I held her tightly because I remembered the cold weight of her hand after death. Mom, I'm trying to save you. She sighed into my hair. The next days became a stalemate. I refused to leave with Eli. She refused to leave without him. Raymond returned to drinking, gambling, and beating her. I began to wonder whether I had only changed the method of her death. Then a contractor from Greyhaven came through the settlement recruiting laborers for a warehouse project. The pay included lodging. Grandpa Walter told Raymond he needed money for Eli's future. Raymond complained until Grandma June reminded him that boys required houses, vehicles, and expensive weddings. He left for the city. The first month without him felt like spring arriving inside the house. My mother still worked from before dawn until after dark, but no one hit her. When Raymond came home after several months, he brought gifts. Whiskey for Grandpa Walter, a blue coat for Grandma June, face cream for my mother, a toy truck and a bag of candy for Eli, a pink hair ribbon for me. My mother wore the face cream twice and smiled at herself in the cracked mirror. Raymond behaved well for 3 days. The escape was never mentioned again. On New Year's Eve, my mother saved a small bowl of beef stew for me behind the stove. I ate it slowly while the rest of the family argued in the front room. For a while, I believed an ordinary life might be enough. Then Aunt Lydia returned for Grandma June's 60th birthday. She arrived in a small car with her husband, Mark, and their daughter, Naomi. Everyone in the settlement had once called Lydia shameless for running away. Now they admired her city clothes, her car, and the expensive boxes she carried. Grandpa Walter still spoke to her as if she had embarrassed him. He accepted every gift. Lydia brought Eli new sneakers. She brought me a green dress. My mother held it up. Nora is still growing. This will be too small in a year. What a waste. Then she praised the sneakers for 10 minutes. Lydia's mouth curved, but she said nothing. Naomi was 14, 3 years older than me. She wore her hair in a loose braid and carried 2 textbooks everywhere. She said hello, then went inside to read. I sat outside the kitchen window shelling beans while my mother and Lydia prepared food. They began talking easily. My mother asked, "Are you and Mark going to try for a son? One child is enough. But if you only have a daughter, his family line ends." Lydia laughed. Ask people to name their ancestors 5 generations back. Most can't. I think the world will survive. City people say boys and girls are equal. Then they keep having children until a boy arrives. I'm not doing that. Lydia changed the subject. I heard Nora is doing very well in school. I smiled without meaning to. My mother laughed. School? You don't think she can continue? I'm not paying for high school. The bean shell in my hand split. Lydia stopped chopping. Why? Nora has enough education to find work. Why waste more? If she can study, you find a way. You have money to burn. We don't. My mother struck the cutting board with the knife. If basic school weren't free, I would have sent her to work already. She can earn, then marry someone nearby and help Eli. Lydia was quiet. What about Eli's education? He is our son. Of course we'll pay. He doesn't seem interested in books. He is a boy. Boys mature later. Lydia sighed. You sound more like Mom every year. The sentence stayed in the kitchen after every other sound faded. I had spent this second life trying to save my mother from Grandma June. I had not noticed my mother was becoming her. Eli ran around the corner. He held both palms full of dust. Before I could move, he blew it into my face. Sand scraped my eyes. Tears came instantly. He laughed. I reached blindly, found a sweet potato beside the basket, and threw it. It hit his leg. He screamed as if I had broken a bone. Raymond came outside and seized my hair. You hit your brother? He threw dirt in my eyes. Eli pointed at the sweet potato. She threw a rock. It was food. My mother looked disappointed. So you admit you hit him? Naomi appeared in the doorway. I saw it. Eli attacked her first. That does not mean she can hit him, my mother said. Naomi stared. They're almost the same age. And he's bigger. Nora is his older sister. She should be patient. You're not patient with her. My mother's face reddened. I love both children equally. Naomi rolled her eyes. Lydia touched her shoulder, warning her to stop. My mother wiped my face with a damp cloth. Don't listen to outsiders. I love you. But Eli is younger, and one day he will protect you after you marry. What if I move far away? You won't. Her grip tightened on my chin. I will find you a good family nearby. The air disappeared from my lungs. She sent me back to shelling beans. Then she knelt in front of Eli and brushed dust from his new shoes. That was when I understood. My mother loved me. I did not have to deny it. She held me through fevers. She made me shoes by hand. She saved food for me. But her love came with an assigned purpose. I had to be useful, grateful, close enough to serve her and my brother. She loved Eli without conditions. She loved me as long as I stayed in the role she chose. That night, I knelt in front of her. "What are you doing?" she asked. I pressed my forehead to the floor once. I had pulled her away from death. That was the debt I still believed I owed. From that day forward, I would stop trying to save someone who refused to choose herself. I would save me. Eli's schoolwork was poor. After finishing chores, I was expected to tutor him. I began missing questions on purpose. On tests, I wrote convincing wrong answers. My mother saw the low grades and removed me from tutoring before I damaged her son's future. That gave me 2 hours every evening. I studied in the barn, under the stairs, and beside the stove after everyone slept. At 16, students in our county could apply to Grey Haven Preparatory Academy, a residential public magnet school with scholarships for rural students. My mother planned to send me to a garment plant as soon as basic school ended. "You can start earning," she said while packing my clothes. "I'm taking the academy exam." She looked up. "What?" "I want to continue school. There is no money. The program covers tuition and housing for top students. You have been at the bottom of your class for years. Let me take the exam." No. Pressure I had swallowed for years finally broke. "I am not going to the factory." She slapped me. The second time. "Your father's city wages are for Eli. I didn't ask for his money. You think you're like Naomi because she lives in the city? I think I'm allowed to study. Girls in this settlement work. They help their families. Then they marry. I am not every other girl." Eli stood in the doorway chewing gum. "She'll fail. Let her take it. Then she has no excuse." My mother's anger loosened. "Fine. If you don't qualify for Grey Haven Prep, you go to the plant." I agreed. The results arrived 2 weeks later. I ranked first in the county. My teacher read the letter twice. Then she hugged me. At home, Eli grabbed it from my hand. "You cheated. Show me how." His face went red. My mother read the scholarship details. The academy covered classes, housing, and meals. It did not cover uniforms, books, transportation, or personal expenses. "Wait until Raymond comes home," she said. That meant no. I went to the old stone wall behind our house and removed a loose brick. Inside was a note Naomi had hidden before leaving. It contained Aunt Lydia's address and a small amount of cash. Before sunrise, I walked to the highway. 3 buses and half a day later, I stood outside Lydia's shop in Grey Haven. She opened the door and stared at me. "Aunt Lydia, I need help." She pulled me inside. I placed the admission letter on the counter. "I can sign a loan agreement. Use the bank's interest rate. Higher if you want." Mark started laughing. "You are 16. A loan should still be recorded." Lydia held up one hand. "Write the note." Mark looked at her. "You're making a child sign? She needs to know this is hers to accept." Lydia faced me. "I'm glad you came. I thought you might obey your mother." "So did I." She smiled. "You are more like me than she knows." When my parents learned Lydia would fund the remaining costs, Raymond did not object. He only cared that he paid nothing. Then his eyes narrowed. "If you can pay for Nora, you can pay for Eli." Lydia nodded. "Of course. If Eli ranks first in the county and earns admission to the same school, I will cover the same expenses." Raymond smiled, certain his son could do anything once he chose. Eli never qualified. He later failed even the local vocational program entrance requirement. Raymond spent most of his savings on private tutoring and a second attempt. Eli skipped classes. During my 3 years at Greyhaven Prep, I rarely went home. My mother sometimes sent food through Lydia, boiled eggs, handmade socks, once, a padded winter coat. I ate the eggs and hated myself for missing her. Then I remembered what happened whenever I returned. She told me school had made me arrogant. She called Lydia a corrupting influence. She reminded me that education did not excuse my duty to the family. Love pulled me toward her. Control pushed me away. I learned that both could exist at the same time. When university admissions opened, I chose Ravenshore University, nearly 1,000 miles from the settlement. My mother saw the address. Your heart has gone wild. I did not argue. I moved to Greyhaven for the summer and worked in Lydia's shop to save money. 3 weeks before orientation, Eli appeared at the door. Mom is sick. I dropped everything and went home. A middle-aged woman sat in our yard with a man nearly 40. He owned a roadside diner. His eyes moved over me slowly enough to make my skin crawl. The woman smiled. So this is your daughter. Pretty. My mother emerged from the house without any sign of illness. I stared at her. You said you were sick. The visitors stood. We'll let the family talk, the woman said. Eli walked them to the gate. Inside, my mother avoided my eyes. He is a good man. I felt the world shift. He owns a business. A house too. He saw you in town and asked about you. I am leaving for university. You are 18. That is old enough to marry. I don't know him. People learn each other after marriage. He is old enough to be my father. He can provide. Then she said the real thing. His family offered $30,000 to help ours if you agree. A family contribution. Not a legal bride price. Not a contract purchasing me. A private arrangement between adults who believed my consent could be worn down. Eli had already chosen a computer and was talking about a down payment on an apartment near the city warehouse. My future had become his housing plan again. No. My mother's face hardened. You think you can disappear across the country and never return? I'll send money after I graduate. After 4 more years? I raised you for 18. There it is. What? The bill. She recoiled. I fed you. Protected you. Stayed with Raymond for you. No. You stayed because you chose not to leave without Eli. You ungrateful girl. You want to trade my university place for his apartment. I want you safe. With a stranger? He is respectable. He wants a wife young enough to control. She slapped me. The 3rd time. I am your mother. You will listen. They took my phone. My identification. My university papers. Raymond locked the bedroom door from the outside. Neighbors arrived over the next days to congratulate us. I shouted through the window. My mother told them I was emotional about leaving school. Aunt Lydia came with Mark. They argued in the yard until people gathered. You cannot confine an adult. Lydia shouted. She is our daughter. Raymond said. She is 18. She owes us. No human being is a debt instrument. I heard Eli outside telling someone the Diner family would withdraw the money if I caused trouble. Then Lydia shouted, Are you trying to make her kill herself? The word cut through the room. In my first life, despair had ended with my body failing in childbirth. This time, I needed the entire settlement to see that I was not consenting. When Raymond opened the door to drag me outside for the engagement meeting, I ran. Past the yard. Past the people gathered near the gate. Toward the old river crossing. Someone screamed my name. I climbed onto the low rail. Tell them I said no. Then I jumped. The river was high enough to pull me under and shallow enough near the bank that people reached me quickly. I remember cold. Mud. Hands. Then coughing on the gravel while half the settlement watched. The Diner family demanded its money back that day. Eli came at me with a kitchen knife when he learned his computer was gone. Mark and 2 neighbors restrained him. Lydia took me to Greyhaven before nightfall. My mother followed us to the road. Nora. I stopped. A fresh bruise marked her cheek. Raymond had hit her after the arrangement failed. For one terrible second, I wanted to ask whether it hurt. Then she said, "If you go to that university, never come back." I looked at the woman who had given me life, who had loved me, who had also tried to sell my future to finance her son, then consider me dead in the river. I entered Lydia's car. At the train station, she and Mark walked me to the platform. When the train began to move, I saw my mother at the far edge of the crowd. She had come after all. I pressed my forehead to the window and cried until I could barely see. A woman across from me offered an orange. "First time leaving home?" I nodded. "You'll feel better after classes start." I peeled the orange slowly. I was not grieving the house. I was grieving the little girl who had spent her whole life waiting for her mother to choose her without conditions. That girl did not have to wait anymore. I would choose her. Ravenshore University was larger than any place I had seen. Parents carried bedding and storage boxes into the residence halls. Mothers repeated instructions. Fathers checked maps. Students complained about being embarrassed. I stood outside my building and watched. Lydia touched my shoulder. "Don't look too long." She thought I envied them. She was right. "If you need food, books, anything, call me." Mark carried my suitcase upstairs. Before leaving, he tried to give me a thick envelope. I refused. The high school money was already too much. It wasn't. "I'm paying it back." Lydia took the envelope from him. "Fine." Mark frowned. "You're agreeing?" "She needs the agreement." Lydia looked at me. "When you can, repay it." I wrote every amount in a notebook. Tuition gaps, travel, books, uniforms. I had spent my childhood hearing how much my mother sacrificed for me. Every meal became evidence. Every pair of shoes became a chain. If I could calculate Lydia's help, I believed I could become free. University life became work arranged around classes. I served meals in a restaurant at night, tutored secondary students on weekends. During breaks, I stayed with Lydia and helped at her shop. Naomi was away at university, but when she came home, she watched me seal cash into repayment envelopes. "You're exhausting," she said. "I made an agreement. My mother is not going to own your life because she bought textbooks." "I know. Do you?" I stopped folding the bills. Naomi sat across from me. "You do not have to prove every day that you deserve to be helped." My throat tightened. "She helped because she wanted to. I defended you when Eli threw dirt because he was wrong. That doesn't give me the right to decide what you do forever." I looked down. Understanding something does not remove the wound that made the understanding necessary. I learned to receive kindness slowly. During my second winter at Ravenshore, Lydia brought a package from my mother. A pair of handmade boots, thick socks, a carton of boiled eggs packed in cloth. She said the weather is colder near the coast. Lydia told me. I touched the crooked stitches. My mother probably worked by stovelight to save electricity. Tears came before I could stop them. Lydia did not tell me to forgive. She sat beside me until I finished crying. I placed the boots in my closet and never wore them. I gave the eggs to coworkers. I was afraid that if I wore her love, I would forget the locked room. I studied law. At first, I wanted rules strong enough to protect me from my family. Later, I understood rules are only useful when someone knows how to reach them. After graduation, I passed the licensing examination and joined a legal aid organization. The pay was modest. The work was relentless. Unpaid wages, domestic violence, housing threats, education documents withheld by parents, young adults pressured into marriages because families needed money. My first case involving a university student lasted one long afternoon. The girl sat across from me with bruises beneath her sleeve. "My parents say they gave me life, so I have to obey." Her mother said the arranged match was for her own good. I could have been looking into a mirror. I helped her file a police report, contacted her school, coordinated emergency housing through a local support center. When she safely enrolled, she sent a postcard. "Thank you for telling me I am allowed to live for myself." I carried it in my wallet. My rented apartment was tiny. One person could stand in the kitchen. Traffic shook the window. But when I turned the lock, no one entered without permission. No one searched my bag. No one discussed my value in another room. The door opened only with my key. In my 3rd year of work, I transferred the entire amount I owed Lydia. Principal, interest, every cost I recorded. She sent it back. I transferred it again. She returned it again. Then she called. Are you out of your mind? We agreed. I made you sign that note because otherwise you would not accept help. You said I could repay you. The paper doesn't exist. I stopped breathing. What? I burned it years ago. Why? Her voice softened. You did not borrow my money. I lent you the road I should have taken when I was your age. You walked it. That is repayment. I sat on the floor and cried. The next morning, I used the money for a down payment on a small apartment. 2 bedrooms. One became a study. Naomi brought a plant. Mark installed lights. Lydia complained that my cooking pots were too small and filled the freezer with dumplings. The deed carried only my name. For the first time, I owned a home no one expected me to serve in. I believed peace might last. Then the Pine Hollow settlement coordinator called during winter. My mother was in the hospital. Eli had attacked her. He owed gambling and shopping debts. He demanded the property deed. When she refused, he struck her leg with a stool. Raymond tried to interfere and was thrown against a wall. Nora, the coordinator said. She keeps asking for you. I stood in the legal aid hallway and looked at the gray sky. Years ago, Eli had raised a knife when I ruined his apartment money. My mother had not put herself between us. Now the violence she excused had turned toward her. I expected satisfaction. I felt only tired. A colleague asked whether something happened to my family. No. I put on my coat. Someone I know is hurt. I returned to Pine Hollow. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and stale heat. Raymond sat beneath a window. His hair had gone mostly white. He stood when he saw me. Nora came. I walked past him. My mother lay in bed with one leg in a heavy cast. She had become small. When she recognized me, her lips shook. Nora. I stopped 1 yard from the bed. The same distance she stood from me at the roadside years ago. She began to cry. Eli didn't mean it. Something inside me became completely quiet. Even now, her first instinct was to protect him. He is an adult. I pulled a chair closer but did not sit beside the bed. Adults who assault people face consequences. Don't call the police. The hospital already reported it. You know lawyers. Help him. I smiled. She looked confused. Do you remember the river? Her face went pale. He came at me with a knife after the money was returned. Did you think my life could be destroyed? That was different. How? She opened her mouth. Because I am your daughter? No answer. Because I was obedient. So you assumed I would recover? Tears ran along her temples. I was wrong. I thought about you every day. Did you wear the boots? No. The eggs? I gave them away. She closed her eyes as if I had struck her. You hate me. I did. I considered the truth. I don't anymore. Hatred takes energy. I have work, friends, and a life that deserve mine. She reached out. I moved the chair back. Her hand fell. I love you. I know. I had always known. Love had not prevented her from locking me away. Love had not stopped her from accepting money for my marriage. Those facts could exist together. Your hospital bill will be paid. I said. If you want to leave Raymond, I can connect you with housing and legal support. If you stay, that is your decision. But you will not live with me. I will not pay Eli's debts. I will not ask anyone to protect him from charges. These are my boundaries. She stared. You really won't help your brother? I never had a duty to build his life. Neither did you. You chose it. I left the room. Raymond blocked the hall. Your mother is injured. Stay a few days and care for her. You are her husband. His face reddened. I held his gaze. When you hit her, did you remember that? His hand moved, then stopped. I was not 11. I knew where to call. I knew how to document an assault. He understood that. He stepped aside. Eli was charged with assault and property-related offenses after investigators reviewed the hospital report, witness statements, and his debt messages. He shouted that the house belonged to him. Grandpa Walter had told him he was the family heir. Raymond taught him women could be hit when they refused. My mother taught him consequences were temporary because someone would always clean up. Outside that house, the world did not recognize those rules. Debt remained debt. Assault remained assault. He eventually accepted a plea and entered supervised probation after a custodial term and treatment requirements. My mother recovered enough to walk with a cane. She did not leave Raymond. Lydia called after hearing. She is impossible. I watered the plant on my balcony. It is her life. You offered help? Yes. And she stayed? Yes. Lydia sighed. Have you finally let go? Not completely. Some wounds become scars. They ache in bad weather. That does not mean they are still open. My mother began calling every few months. The conversations were short. Weather. Medication. The old apple tree. She no longer ordered me home. I did not volunteer. Once, before hanging up, she asked, "Did you blame me when you were little?" Yes. And now? Now I hope you choose yourself once before your life ends. Silence. Then a small answer. I'll try. I did not know whether she would. I no longer needed to know. Her life belonged to her. Mine was no longer required to rescue it. On my 30th birthday, Lydia's family came to my apartment. Naomi brought cake. Mark cooked. Lydia placed a bowl of braised beef in front of me. I froze. As children, the rich meat dish always belonged to Eli. I received what my mother hid behind the stove. Lydia lifted the largest piece into my bowl. What are you staring at? Today, it is yours. I took a bite. The meat was tender and dark with sauce. As a child, I believed the person who received the best food was the person most loved. I had been wrong. Love was not the largest serving. It was allowing someone to become herself without demanding repayment in obedience. After everyone left, I cleaned the table and turned off the lights. Moonlight crossed the floor. My books filled the study. The curtains were the color I chose. The plant had grown toward the window. In the back of my closet sat the handmade boots I never wore. I kept them, not because they proved I owed my mother, because they reminded me how long I waited to be chosen without conditions. I no longer waited. I stood before the mirror. Nora, the woman looking back, held her shoulders straight. She had left the locked room, crossed the river, paid her debts, built a home. Happy birthday, I told her. You did well. Outside, the city lights shone across the windows. I closed the door and turned the key. The people who loved me, harmed me, needed me, and tried to decide my future were all far away. At last, I understood. Home was not the place blood required me to return to. Home was the place where I could become myself without fear. And this time, the key was in my hand.